they possibly can. Reinhardt will get taken down though, so beautiful pick, but Diva Bomb will be, both Diva Bombs actually will be coming up, but Tinted Galaxy overall showing off how beautifully placed that was, getting a 3-piece.
Oh, let's break it down!
Hello and welcome to the CGL Breakdown. Happy to bring this episode to you guys. This is it, man. Week 8, just finished it up. And, yeah, playoffs right around the corner. Your host, Sultan Pepper, joined by Swift63 and Headrammer. And how you guys doing, man?
Oh, doing good. Just ready for another breakdown of this wonderful last week.
Dude, doing well, man. I'm getting hyped. Sombras tech support's not going into the playoffs, but there should be some pretty fire games coming in. So excited to break it down. Haha, pun intended. Excited to look at this. Go over some of the news we've got going on, right?
Completely unplanned, unscripted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel that pain. I insert team name here did also miss out on the playoffs. So I think Headrammer, you're the only one out of the three of us that's actually in it.
Cool. Well, I mean, cool for me, I guess. Not cool.
That's true. I mean, I'll get to cast those games, so that'll be pretty exciting.
That's true. I expect some top tier casting.
Oh, I mean,
All
yeah, exactly.
all highlights, background information, everyone's biographical location, as long as like where they come from, where they've been the last 4 years,
Exactly. Oh, completely in depth. Man, I'm really excited for the playoffs. So we got some solid matchups and just kind of getting into all the chaos really that was week 8 and the results that really affected the playoff picture. Got a lot to get into right off the bat, but we'll really get into that. A little bit of Overwatch news. Obviously, we're really excited about Overwatch League coming up right around the corner. I think in February is when Season 2 starts, and a lot of teams joining as well. Toronto, one of them, and they recently announced that there would be a kind of announcement for their new brand on the 24th, so kind of right around the corner. And kind of excited for this one.
Yeah, they kind of also talked about, I believe they were partnering with Luminosity Gaming. So as kind of more traditional sports companies kind of like invest, or basically more companies that like are investing in Overwatch League team that haven't managed these types of esports teams before, some of the teams that do that kind of hire like a managing company to kind of run their team for them. The LA Gladiators have kind of done the same thing. There's a kind of backing company that's provided like the financial support, but then they hire another already like proven esports company to like manage the team for them. They do like the whole like coaching. They like help scout the players, bring them in, and they kind of like manage the team for that investment firm. And it looks like Toronto is kind of doing the same thing. Make sure they have a kind of established organization to help them manage that team and get their players together.
Yeah, I know we haven't gotten a whole lot of news out of DC's team either, but it's close to home for me. I live in DC, and if I'm not mistaken, DC's team's owned by Team Liquid, so they're doing some of the same stuff that Toronto is trying to do. So it's exciting to see some of these like storied organizations start to get into the more formal Overwatch League. Pretty excited to see what this comes out. I want to know the names, man. I want to know the names and I want to know the color schemes, right? I want to see what these skins look like. That's really what I'm hyped about.
Man, I'm on the same boat. I'm so excited to see what they have in store for us. But a little bit of kind of fan art going around, and I always like to see these when just people will come up with their own ideas for the new teams and things like that. And actually, JP3 at JP3 Islam, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, came up with this concept for Toronto Tempest, which I think would be really cool. And this is not an official design or anything. This is a fan-made thing, but I think that's a really solid color scheme. And yeah, what do you guys think of that?
I think that actually looks pretty dang cool. I might have to get a few of those skins if those colors come out of there.
Well, that's pretty fire, man. I love the logo. I love the alliteration, right? Like Toronto Tempest sounds pretty good. So I'm all on board with that. There was, and I like that color scheme. It's unique.
Yeah.
I've heard some stuff like. Apparently, people are thinking it might be some kind of like leaks of like the kind of colors of some of the teams, with like kind of based on the Twitter background colors that some of the teams have and have like put up recently. So I think one of them was supposed to be, it was either DC or Atlanta, I can't remember. Changed it to kind of like a red and black kind of color combination, and the other one was like might have been blue or green. I can't fully remember what it was, but I'm actually pretty excited with how they look. I know actually one of the Chinese teams posted like a kind of like teaser video saying like, "Be afraid, we're coming."
I think Gangju, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, also is announcing their branding pretty soon. It's kind of a race, quote unquote, to see which one Toronto or Gangju is going to come out with their branding first. But I'm really excited to see what these new teams have for us.
Yeah, definitely. And then it looks like also speaking of one of the Overwatch League news, Dallas Fuel also announced that they have picked up Closer, the sport player formerly of the London Spitfire. So I think obviously a lot of the beginning of the Dallas Fuel season kind of struggled a bit. They ran into issues and were kind of like missing on a little bit of their roles. And it looks like they've understood they're kind of like maybe lacking a little bit on the support department and have decided to pick up Closer. And I mean, formerly the London Spitfire. I mean, London, while they did struggle for quite a while and drop a lot of their roster, I don't think this guy was never bad. They just kind of need to focus on their main core. And now that Dallas has picked him up, I believe this is the first announcement that Dallas has made of their changes of the multiple they're going to be making for the season. So it's cool to see them get picked up, and as these players get announced, because there's kind of been very few official announcements. There's been lots of like leaks and unconfirmed stuff. I think this is one of the first like official announcements of people that have been picked up. What are you guys thinking about the Closer pickup for Dallas?
I think that I'm looking forward to a better season than the last. Was kind of difficult being a Dallas fan, obviously with all the hype coming in and being from Dallas. So obviously that's going to be my team. But I'm excited. I think that obviously I think they brought Jane on right as an assistant coach as well. I'm a big fan of his, and I feel like he's got a solid strats, and I feel like it's going to be better in season 2. Looking forward to it.
Well, I think they did a phenomenal job towards the end of the season of managing their personalities.
That's true.
And we don't talk about that a lot in like not console, goodness, we're console, but in just esports in general. A lot of the players let their play do the talking for them, but you have a couple characters, and similar to your traditional sports, you have you have the rock stars, the high flyers, and you got to manage their personalities, not only their play. And I think that was something that the Fuel kind of stumbled on early, but they wrapped it up at the end of the season, finished strong, and they weren't Shanghai, so they can only. Right, so excited to see where they go from here. It seems like everyone's got their eye on the prize and got the right process in place.
Yeah, definitely. And then also it looks like there's been a lot of talks surrounding recently about Runaway and where they're going, if they've been kind of picked up, and people have been talking about how they're potentially going to Toronto, whether it be the whole team or like potentially some of the team. It looks like always bad pronouncing her name, like Flowervian, the one kind of like team mom and coach of the Runaway, talked about today that apparently the entire team has been signed, though she would not confirm if it was to just a single team or like they've been kind of split up. But it's really kind of nice to hear that all those such talented players that have worked for so many years and just finally be able to get that championship this year. It's nice to hear that they have been picked up and will be moving on to Overwatch League itself.
I feel like the success of the Overwatch League in Season 1, I think there was a few players that maybe weren't sold on it and didn't want to participate. But I just feel like obviously the new teams coming in, you're going to have a lot more demand, and the players can see that it is successful and that people are excited about it and just want to be involved.
And also I meant Vancouver, not Toronto. My bad.
Yeah.
And then speaking of more Overwatch news here, we got some new skins possibly being leaked again. Apparently, all the skins are going to be leaked throughout these weeks here. Which is a Winter Wonderland Rat King skin. Apparently, it was shown in a T-shirt where I had the Nutcracker Zenyatta in the back top right. There was a little bit of a picture. It looks like a Rat King Junkrat. So this might be a little bit of a new legendary skin for Junkrat here. I know the Nutcracker Zenyatta skin was probably one of my favorite skins for Zenyatta. But this Junkrat one, it kind of looks a bit creepy. So I'm kind of wondering how creepy it actually looks in the game.
Man, they're leaning in, right? Like they're leaning into the Nutcracker ballet. So I mean, you've got the Junkrat skin there. That's the Rat King. from the ballet. And then on the left side, you have ballerina Widowmaker, right? And that plays right into the fact that the Nutcracker play is traditionally a ballet, and sometimes it's done on ice. So I love what they're doing here, right? Like they're leaning in on themes. The Halloween event had Slasher Soldier, right? They're picking up on Jason Voorhees of old. So I really like what they're starting to do. They're starting to get creative. The first year or two, they were, in my opinion, they were pretty conservative on their skins. They didn't want to get too wild. They were trying to stick to the lore, keep things in line. But the new direction that they're going in, it really has me excited. So I'm all in for this. I'd love to see a creepy, little wild looking trash rat running around on the map. So pretty hyped for it, man.
So I'm excited for the new skins, but I'm not excited for my wallet when I inevitably do not get enough coins to buy all the skins I want. Even just like this Halloween one right now, there's so many like cool things I want, and I think I only have enough to get like one legendary skin, assuming I don't get them all in loot boxes, which is unlikely to happen. So I'm not that lucky.
Luck.
Yeah, I'm not that lucky. I'll get a legendary, and I'll be really excited, and it'll just pop out to be money. And I'll just be sad.
That's how mine ran down with Zenyatta. It's all I wanted was that Zenyatta baseball skin, man. I was gonna just throw the fastballs, crushing people's domes, call it a day, but ended up with like half of the other skins and none of the ones I wanted. So
yeah, better having to buy the baseball one.
Right.
Like here's my experience with this. Like honestly, like it'll tease me right in the beginning with the free loot box gives you. It'll give me something a little nice, and then it'll just be a dry period of absolutely nothing for like ages. And then like once it realizes towards the end, like pretty much like a few days before it ends, or even day of, that I'm not gonna buy blue boxes, it starts giving me a few more things. They're kind of like, hey, you can have some of this if you want. If you just buy a few loot boxes.
Can't take the bait. Can't do it.
Can't give in.
I'm actually a huge fan of this Junkrat skin. Hopefully, it actually is legit because I think that'd be a lot of fun. That's a cool looking skin. I like the theme you're going for, like you were saying, Swift. Last but not least in Overwatch news, though, Roadhog changes finally coming in on the Blizzard Overwatch forums. Jeff Kaplan himself said that Roadhog changes coming this week. Maybe expect those possibly Thursday.
Yeah, I think I heard some stuff about it be on the PTR here in the next few days. So I'm really curious to see what kind of changes they're thinking for him, because people kind of sometimes go back and forth where like Roadhog's in a bad place or not. Personally, I feel like Roadhog's not in super bad place. But I'm also kind of concerned that you change too much about him, you can make him a little bit overpowered again, because they kind of one-hit potential. People and hook that people complained about for so long, and everybody knows the community is kind of very finicky on what they do and do not like.
I don't. Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, man. It feels like I feel like Roadhog's in a pretty good place right now for the first time in a long time. The only thing, I have no idea what they could possibly be doing here, unless they're going to try and change his his damage fall off or how he's effective at range, because I remember that was one of the big things that.
They did change that already a little bit. They reduced his damage fall off already, and they mentioned like it's not a full rework. They did say it needed like a little bit of animation changes, like things that needed to be animated. So, I'm really curious. I don't know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be like a change slightly to his ultimate. I don't know, because he doesn't have too many abilities. He hooks you and shoots you.
Or maybe they're trolling us, man. Maybe there's really no big change to Roadhog, and they're gonna do like May and just add some animation effects to his ultimate or something.
Maybe
there's no real adjustment.
I saw some comments on Reddit earlier today that maybe people have complained about D.Va being really one of the only like off tanks with kind of mobility or verticality. So some people joke around talking about using Roadhog's hook as kind of like a Widowmaker's grapple. You just like launch Roadhog up and down all over the place.
I always love those tweaks, like when they made Zenyatta walk, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Love it. But good stuff, man. I've kind of gotten more into Roadhog. I think I played a lot of support for the longest time, but started playing a bit more tank, and I like Roadhog a lot. And excited to see what those changes are. And again, looking ahead, if there's new skins, Winter Wonderland, and that Junkrat skin, I hope it's out there. But I guess as we move on to kind of analysis from this week, again, guys, just a ton of really solid games that determined a lot of things. I know that a few of the tiers were pretty set, and still possibility for some mix-up. We start here in the Carbon tier, where Instalot coming into this game at, I believe, 2-5, upset Mounties Juniors, who were still sitting in the third place spot in the Carbon tier, and just really needed a win in this game in order to come through and make the playoffs. That's all they needed to secure their spot with insert team name here. If they lost this game, it would have opened up the door for them to come through. But Instalock came out very aggressive on Hanamura. We picked it up, I think, in the replays there, just on that second round, and Instalock were able to take it pretty quickly. Very nice deadeye from Sage, helped clear the point. Instalock capped with just over a minute on the clock. On the second point, on their defense rather, it didn't even go into multiple rounds. Obviously, we see a lot of multiple round games in Hanamura. Not the case here. Able to cap it in just a single defense, able to hold B for a while. So already off to a fantastic start. Ruins, again, Instalock, just a more coordinated side, honestly. They ran Sage on a fair up. Mounties didn't really react to it maybe as quickly as they needed to, and had a hard time dealing with the aerial threat. Instalock would clean up pretty cleanly and go on to take the first round on the Ruins. And it was kind of surprising again because Mounties Juniors coming into this game with a fairly good record. I believe they were sitting at 4-3, if I'm not mistaken. And just it again, like we talked about last week, how it looked pretty set that they were going to be able to, kind of scoot into the playoffs with Instalock and his team name here, still a game back and kind of a hill to climb. But Instalock really came in and took this game kind of by the scruff of the neck. They are coming off of a loss to Unacceptable, and honestly, with the momentum they had coming into the tier, I thought for sure they'd actually be able to win that game. But Unacceptable kind of took them to task. They come back, respond well with a win over Mounties. And I think just honestly wanted it more. You see, I saw the Supercharger use here just at the end of the point. Everybody coordinated their attack, and then it's just cleanup work. It was really nicely timed there, wiped the point, and they took Ilios in 2 rounds. I know in a lot of games this week, Ilios, kind of notorious for it, went to a lot of multi-round, or rather 3-round games, and kind of built up the tension a little bit, but not really even necessary. Then obviously on the third map, Route 66, it's going to be Instalock defending first this time, and came through with a very strong hold, kept Mounties completely off the board just about halfway through that first section, and then it was just an aggressive attack from them, completely clearing the payload there, and able to push it into the finish line. It was just a really comprehensive win for Instalock. They win the game 3-0, and like I said, completely opened the door for insert team name here, who played Wasted Potential later in the day to find maybe a little bit of playoff hope. However, they kind of got away with it. Mounties, even though they lost, ITNH lost 2-1 to Wasted Potential, so they were able to get that final spot regardless. They'll play Unacceptable in the semifinals of the Carbon tier. That'll be, I guess, in 2 weeks, since we'll do a week break before the playoffs, and then the quarterfinal week for Challenger, Contender, and Rival will take a little bit of time. But honestly, this Carbon tier has been a little back and forth. Obviously, with the resurgence of Instalock after their difficult start to the season, kind of made it interesting. But by and large, it's been Wasted Potential all the way, and they finished the season without a single loss.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, 7-0-1. And I think I want to say Unacceptable is the one that drew with them, or I guess they would also have a draw, but it could have been a team probably that dropped at this point. But Wasted Potential just look pretty strong. And I feel like obviously they have the bye straight to the final of the Carbon tier, and it really could be either one of these two teams. But just a really impressive season from them.
Man, the Carbon and Challenger tiers are always just such great gameplay. I think I ended up casting more Carbon matches than anything else this season, and impressive all the way. It was really nice to see some of these teams, Instalock, Unacceptable, Mounties Junior, start out looking a little rough, not really functioning as a team, and then as the season goes along, they kind of find their footing and start to really jive. So I'm excited to see where this goes next season, man. This was the first season we've had a Carbon tier, and I don't know how you guys feel, but I think it's been a resounding success. So I'm excited to see it continue.
I fully agree, and one of my favorite parts of here is like how enthusiastic they are, how much they want, they want to get involved, they want to improve and bring things together, help each other. I know they've been organizing little fun things between the other teams. I think, I definitely agree. It's probably one of my favorite teams to watch and interact with.
Yeah, I'd probably also say just more coordinated than you'd expect. You look at a team like Mounties, and obviously we've seen them you wouldn't really be able to tell what you'd expect from a Carbon tier team just by watching them, the highlight reels and just how they completely kind of dismantle their opposition. So again, expect that final game, whoever they play, is going to be a huge one. I honestly, if I'm giving my 2 cents, I think it's going to be unacceptable that are in that game. I think they're still a pretty strong team, even though they did drop a map this week to Resiliency, the team that kind of joined late to the Carbon tier, but ended up finishing the season 0-8. I think they lost just the last 2 weeks. They came in with a pretty steep hill to climb to begin with, but still were able to pull a map off of unacceptable. So definitely not infallible, but I think they probably have a little bit of the upper hand, and I think we're looking at a waste potential unacceptable final. So really looking forward to that. Obviously, the semifinal game first. We have a lot of surprises in store. It is a best of 5, so a lot of things can happen, and obviously you can't count out Mountain Juniors. But I think that I think it's just going to be a good matchup. So getting to the standings, this is how it looks at the end of the season. Obviously, Waste Potential up there at the top, doing really solidly, and one of a couple teams in the entire league to hit 20 map wins. So definitely congratulations to them. A strong season, and hopefully getting promoted this next season, going up to Challenger. I'd like to see them compete with some of the teams up there. Unacceptable, still a very strong record, 6-2. Mounties Juniors at 4-4. Again, losing that last game, but able to sneak into the playoffs. Instalock right behind them in ITNH, dropping to 5th. Resiliency still 0-8, but still not a strong representation of that team in general.
Definitely. Yeah, the battle between Instalock and Munchies Jr. there, that was might have given them Munchies a little scare there, because if things were slightly different for Instalock season, they could have they might have had that playoff spot.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just the trip up in week 7 against Unacceptable. I think they were, if they'd won out, they definitely would have been right there. And honestly, you look at the top 4 teams that finish in Carbon, and really difficult to separate them. Well, I guess 2, 3, 4 difficult to separate. I think really good competition throughout, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the teams have for us next season. Again, either if they get promoted or decide to stay in Carbon, should be still some pretty good matchups. Moving on to the Challenger tier, it was D9 against Chaotic, and
this was a pretty impressive game. So I have had the opportunity to cast a couple of Chaotic games. I've had the misfortune of losing to D9 twice this season, so know both of these teams pretty well. Yeah, I mean, so the thing about D9, and they executed really well in this map as well, is that they managed their ult economy very well. And on the first map, Hanamura, they did that decisively, right? 2 CPs notorious, especially Hanamura, that short respawn door. You really have to invest your ultimates and move as a unit to take that final point. And actually, this map went to double overtime. D9 ended up winning on Hanamura 5-4 against Instalock there at the end. But coming into the last point, it was really funny. Chaotic was putting up just a hell of a hold, defensive hold, time's ticking down, couple seconds left on the clock. You can actually hear Sarge and Evermore lamenting D9's woes as they're coming into the final point, because they kept trying to do the same thing. They kept trying to push through top, move through the zone, and set up their soldier on the high ground. And Chaotic had a Junkrat on their side, just repelling it at every woe. And I kid you not, the caster's curse is real, because the moment Evermore says, this may be this definition of stupidity, doing the same thing over and over and trying something different. And as soon as he says it, OC Hammer lands the pin on Diva, drops the hammer, and the rest is history. So you're like, right. So it was pretty impressive. D9 takes the first map, but Chaotic makes some subs. They sub in Milk, sub out a couple of guys. Milk slides over and plays the Doomfist for them. They go full dive, and it catches D9 completely off guard. They win the first point Ilios on, I believe it was decisively. You can see the clips playing here in the background of Milk just absolutely annihilating people. And to D9's credit, they swap over when they're playing Lighthouse. They end up taking Lighthouse from them after a bit of a battle, but then they take it to Ruins, and Ruins ended up being an absolute bloodbath. I think it ends up going 99-99 overtime, with Chaotic pulling out the win on the back of just an incredible Visor. They end up demeching the Diva. You can hear the soldier pop Visor. Everyone on the team throws their ults. If you've seen that garbage movie Battleship, just fire everything, gets thrown into the pit, and they seal the deal. But yeah, an impressive comeback from Chaotic on Ilios. sliding over to full dive, busting out milk on the Doomfist, and an impressive hold. Now, Route 66 gets a little different. So D9 comes out with an interesting comp. They're going to run Pirate Ship. Not that crazy, but effective nonetheless. They roll through first point with almost no opposition. I think they had Susie's back running the Bastion for him. He pops take form before they get through the first doorway. He's just funneling damage downrange. So get through first point, roll through Streets phase. Chaotic makes a couple of adjustments and holds effectively in point 3. Now, Chaotic ended up coming out on the attack in Route 66, and it seemed like they maybe didn't have a clear plan, right? Some of the team goes high, others go low, a couple try to flank around, and the team ends up wasting a fair amount of time swapping heroes, changing different strats, moving around before they really figure out what they want to do. So I think I actually have a clip here from the end of that match, and it's so heartbreaking, man. I'll try and keep an eye on the video, but basically what happens is they start to regroup, they start to build their ults and manage their economy, forcing out ultimates from D9. And then they have in their pocket, I kid you not, they have in their pocket their own EMP, they've got self-destruct, Reinhardt's holding on to Earth Shatter, and they're coming in set up. No ultimates, no defensive ultimates for D9. This should be an easy win. And then just the Junkrat Trap of Sorrow catches the invisible Sombra. She's forced the EMP out of position, catches maybe one person in there, and the whole fight just goes sideways from there, man. So it seemed like they were on the right track. Took them a little while to get the game plan rolling, but Overwatch is a game that doesn't require just skill. You got to have a little pinch of luck in there to pull you through, right? These two teams were incredibly well matched once they got their footing. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains, man. It can go either way. Impressive play, though. I think the big thing here is D9 came into this, I think, not the number 1 seed and challenger, if I'm not mistaken. And Chaotic had an outside chance to the playoffs. So, you've got the standings up on screen. If can't quite see it right there, Sultan, if you want to break down the standings for me, brother.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Having a hard time rendering.
Yeah, Chaotic coming in, sitting here 5-3, D9 finished the season perfect, and honestly, again, congratulations to them. Hit 19 map wins, so not quite the 20 club, but still a very strong season. PCOW, kind of interesting to see them there, 5-3. I think they came in at week 4 against D9, or I believe week 5, both of them coming in 4-0, and that was kind of the battle right there, and I think they kind of veered off from each other, but yeah, exactly right. Just going on the left-hand side here, Overwatch Division, Inner Circle finishing 7-1. They'll get the 2nd seed. Drunken Shimada Clan and Chaotic both at 5-3, separated just about the single map point. In the Talon Division, D9, like we said, just about perfect throughout the season. PCOW and DGBR 5-3, and it was the battle there between DGBR and Triple R right there. Towards the end of the season, really kind of decided this. I believe they were tied at the time in week 6, and just the changes from week 6 to week 8 were pretty astonishing. Like I said, you look at PCOW after 4-0 starting week 5. They kind of lost that game to D9. Never really recovered, finishing the season just 1-3 in the second half. Still 5-3, so it puts them in a relatively good spot. But I think we at the beginning of the season saw them as maybe that 2nd seed contender or maybe 1st seed because they hadn't played D9 yet. But regardless, PCOW will end up taking on Chaotic in the first round of the playoffs. But coming off a loss to Inner Circle in week 8, who also I think beat Chaotic in week 7. So I think if you kind of look on paper, Chaotic maybe have that a bit of an advantage. I think PCOW kind of on a decline somewhat, but hopefully they're able to kind of use this week break to get back into solid form, their early season form, and take this quarterfinal game. Paranoia Academy, all congratulations to them. Obviously a rough season, but they get their first win of the season against Triple R, I believe. And yeah, again, after the week 7 loss to DGBR, just about completely eliminated from the playoffs, just with the number of teams that were so tight here in this challenger division. And so DGBR will then go on to qualify for the playoffs, and they'll believe face Drunken Shimada Clan, who's actually coming off a loss to Sombra's Tech Support. So again, you see the parity in this division where really any team can beat anybody. Like it's just a lot of back and forth, and I think it was really enjoyable to watch. The seeding and challenger, like I said, really interesting because you're looking at 4 teams right here that all finished 5-3, and what's the only thing that separates them? map wins. We've been talking about that all season, how tight that can be, and 15, 12, 13, 11 here, just going through, and a lot of really just close teams throughout the Challenger tier. And I think it's been really fun just throughout this entire season to cast these games, and just the last couple weeks to analyze these games.
Yeah, and I have a quick addendum there. I said they have defensives. Leprechaun was quick to point out in chat. It's actually even in the stream. You see him pop the trance up right before the EMP goes off there at the end. 200 IQ plays, Leprechaun. I see you, brother.
I think ultimately, for me at least, Inner Circle, obviously we talked about that the week 6 sitting there 5-1, Drunk Smart Clan Chaotic all tied 5-1, and it just went completely different directions. Inner Circle finished 7-1. They earned that first round bye as the 2nd seed, so should be a pretty good matchup. I believe they will play the. Let's see, I don't have it in here. Come in and play the the highest remaining seed, and D9 will play the lowest remaining seed in the semifinal. So Inner Circle able to play seeds 3, 4, or 5. So again, the playoffs and Challenger, it took a bit to get here, but looking forward to the games over the course of these next couple weeks. And Challenger tier.
Let's get it.
Yeah, I believe Salty, you got Contender tier next.
Ooh. Honestly, this was kind of a fun one. We talk a lot about teams that were just trying to edge into the playoffs, but when you think about the seeding available in the contenders here, it was going to be right down to Phantom Thieves running away with the season, doing a really good job and finishing completely undefeated. But Boost & Co and Panthera Leo right there fighting for that first round bye as the 2nd seed. And it was a really impressive game, and it was kind of an interesting setup because Boost & Co won the game, but Panthera Leo kind of won the war in that they were able to win the final game on Ilios to edge out the map wins required to gain that 2nd seed. And obviously that's just a huge win for them. But the game throughout was really entertaining. Panthera Leo came out very aggressive on Hanamura and capped with a ton of time on the clock, but that proved to be kind of a theme throughout this game. I believe they took A with about 4.5 minutes left in the bank on their defense. They used kind of a high ground defense position and were able to dive the point after Boost & Co engaged it. It was a really strong strategy that won them quite a few fights actually, and Boost & Co finally able to get through and in cap B with around 2.5 minutes left. So when you think about Hanamura, that's not a bad time to finish capping the point. 2.5 minutes is definitely doable with how easily defendable the 2nd point is for the defense. But when you look at the time bank on the other side from Panthera Leo, it gets significantly less impressive, right? Because they're already disadvantaged by a few minutes. And if you look at the attack again from the first round for Panthera Leo, just looked very, very strong. Boost & Co responded well, obviously now going to multiple rounds in round 3. They attack first. They learn from their previous mistake. You'll kind of see them, instead of going directly main to point, they all kind of shift around that backhand, like attacking left side there, and the defenders would then force kind of retreat into point. They would eventually take that, and they were able to cap pretty quickly, just kind of coming around this outside point. And this is not an area where you really see in Hanamura people really fighting. So it was kind of a unique approach here, but it ended up panning out for them. And Boost & Company were able to get into point very quickly, even with the limited time bank. So again, just impressive response. And I don't know if it kind of rattled Panthera Leo a little bit at all, but they were finally able to get to the final point there and cap in round 3. So just going to show, obviously you kind of see it on payload maps as well. Sometimes teams can just get to the first checkpoint in overtime, then push the rest of the map completely in overtime, kind of have these absurd kind of late round finishes. And Boost & Co kind of do just that in overtime here, finally able to cap the 4th point and starting to look pretty impressive. On their defense, kind of a defensive masterclass here from Boost & Co. They just were able to bleed down the time bank from Panthera Leo, and to PL's credit, they were grouping up after losing some of the team fights, but they weren't quite able to get into point as quickly as they would have liked. So you'll see them kind of stagger. It wasted about 2 minutes off the clock for them to finally realize they were staggering and get out of the point, and then every time they lost a single burst, they would back out and wait a little bit more time, finally coming through. Boost & Co was able to completely hold them here, and after a really kind of lengthy fight, given how long the time bank was, Boost & Co comes away with the first one on Hanamura, and a pretty impressive one at that. Starts to look pretty good, and just the whole story of this entire Hanamura game is interesting. just thinking about how aggressively Panthera Leo started, Boost and Co just kind of dug in. Really strong defense from them. You see the coordination there, and they go on to completely cap. There was a bit of a discussion about we try and do the Ilios map second, and I think it actually would have benefited Panthera Leo, and you'll see why here in a second. But coming out on Route 66, they'd already swapped sides. You've got Boost and Co with the momentum of attacking really strongly and defending really well on Hanamura. Came out with some really strong fire, capped the first point, quickly rolled through the center section, largely uncontested. It was an EMP at the B checkpoint that stalled them very briefly from the defenders, but they ended up capping on the very next team fight. As you'd expect, though, with a shorter respawn, Panthera Leo were able to hold C for a few minutes, and I think it was a really solid tire from Duck Duck that we may or may not, wink wink, see later in the top plays, able to hold the point. And it honestly, with only 2 points on the clock, it was a possibility for Panthera Leo to completely cap the map and kind of get back into this game, but not really the case. Not what ended up happening there for them. They came out just aggressively and capped A pretty quickly and earned their ultimates for that first team fight. They were able to use, I think, 3 at the first checkpoint, but Boost and Co was able to clean up quite a few in the center section and delay them a little bit further. So even though they kind of gained that immediate time at the beginning, they lost a little bit of time towards the end, and but then were able to finally cap B with actually more time on the clock. So it ended up being kind of a theme for them, where, like we saw in Hanamura, a larger time bank didn't necessarily mean success, where they weren't able to use it as effectively as they would have liked. Same kind of thing in Route 66. They had a lot of time in the bank getting to the third section, but weren't quite able to get it over the line. And Boost and Co come out with a very strong defense. Public Enemy number 1 and Genesis, the tanks here for Boost and Co, did a really good job of just creating space for the team. They would push forward really well, coordinatedly, and be able to push back and just allow the payload to roll in behind them. That being said, Skits playing Wrecking Ball for Panthera Leo was an absolute monster. I haven't seen Wrecking Ball played so well, and he kind of stuck to it and really was doing a good job of zoning out the attack as well. I just think that the whole team cohesion maybe wasn't quite there for PL. But yeah, they have the larger time bank and still couldn't get over the line. Boost and Co with a good defense, and were finally able to win it. So I think all the way around, a really highly mobile comp from Panthera Leo could have worked well. It's just kind of unlucky from them a little bit. Kind of missed a few ultimate combos that I think they would have wanted to have back. Regardless, on the final map, it was Ilios they played out in Panthera Leo. I'm not sure where were the highlights for that, but Panthera Leo came out and were able to cap that final map, which gave them the advantage and then that second seed in contender. So kind of worked out for them, but you know, Boost and Co just narrowly missing out on the possibility of kind of taking that second spot. Now looking at the standings for contender, again another tight tier. The Horizon division may be a little bit stronger than the Talon division. Not sure if you can see those, but again, Phantom Thieves, like we said, undefeated, went through, and 20 map wins. I'm also in that club and looking really good. Just unstoppable force throughout the season. Dad and the lads right there behind them, and 5-3, just still a respectable result. And the rest of the Talon division misses out, but Horizon division with 4 representatives looking pretty solid. Panthera Leo, like we just said, earning that second spot by a single map win over Boost and Company, also finishing 6-2. Very strong performance and a strong kind of second half of the season for them to get them up to that spot. Excalibur and Team Oof round out the Horizon division, and some good matchups on the way from this tier.
You mentioned before Papa Skits planning killer Wrecking Ball. That guy loves his dive tanks, man. He plays an absolutely devastating diva too when he wants to, so it doesn't surprise me at all. I think we scrimmed them in one game earlier this season, and it wasn't pretty, to say the least.
Interesting thing about this matchup, Boost and Co and Panthera Leo actually played in week 1 against each other, and Panthera Leo took that game and kind of sat there towards the top of the tier for a while. So nice for Boost and Co to be able to come back, kind of get that rematch. I think if it had been a 2-0 victory, it would have been a Legion playoff, but just that single map win, man, it's just good for Panthera Leo. Boost and Co faces a strong Team Oof side coming off back-to-back wins. But should Boost and Co win that quarterfinal, they'll face Panthera Leo for the 3rd time this season in the rival tier semifinals. So a lot of games look pretty exciting. Mounties and DLG originally looked like maybe they'd have a chance if Mounties won this game to kind of sneak into the kind of final spot in the playoffs. Played out actually to a really thrilling draw in Week 8, and it ended up eliminating them both. I think TLG was out because of their Week 7 game against Phantom Thieves. So regardless, Mouchi's not quite able to get there. 4-3-1, just barely missing out. Excalibur, T-Move, and Dad and the Lads all won in Week 8, hit 5-3, closing any window of opportunity for the rest of the teams. And yeah, I think all the way around, it kind of felt the way we maybe expected. I think Oof had a really strong push there towards the end after the winner from Multiverse a few weeks ago. Excal always looking good, and just kind of the regulars here at the top 4 for the contender division.
So the contender division's looking tight. How's I haven't looked at Rival recently. How does Rival shape up? Are they were they tight last time we looked at it? I can't remember right off the top of my head.
I believe like last week with their, or at least in Week 6, 3 teams or 4 teams were tied at 5-3. Is that right? I remember.
Oh God.
Yeah, there's these have been super close.
Yeah, we'll get to rival standings and how everything fell there in just a second.
Jumping ahead. I'm jumping ahead. My bad, fam.
You're totally fine. But yeah, Communism and Paranoia. Adram, I think you have this game.
Yes, I do. So this one was a kind of an interesting match. So Paranoia started out here on Hanamura like super strong. They captured both points basically immediately with like over 5 minutes left. Then Communism apparently proves that defense isn't going to exist for either team, and when they attacked, they also capped with nearly 5 minutes left. And then so naturally we go again, and this team, this time, you know, defense is starting to be a little bit less shy and starting to show up a little bit. However, both teams still cap both points with time. So now we're at 4-4 on Hanamura. And now defense, you know, they practiced a little bit. They've warmed up. They're no longer afraid to show up. And Communism is able to full hold on first point with no ticks on their defense. And then Communism goes to attack again and is able to cap that first tick for a final match score on Hanamura of 5-4. And then we got over to Ilios here. Excuse me. So Ilios runs right out from the start. Communism kind of takes a quick first point control, and they're really able to hold it really well. They pretty much take an easy first point, and going on the Lighthouse, Paranoia is able to gain control first and hold it to a pretty strong 91% before losing it. So Communism is actually able to then hold that retake for quite some time to 99% themselves. But by this point in time, Paranoia already has an ult advantage. It's kind of too hard to overcome, and they take it back and they win Lighthouse to bring Ilios to a 1-1 score. From there, excuse me, we go into the final point of Ilios to determine this whole 1-1 situation, and Kaizen grabs the first point pretty easy right off the bat for the control and holds it for the entire map. Really, honestly, there was really no threat to them losing that point. So they went Ilios 2-1. Bringing up to 2-0 in the series, and pretty much keeping the trend of whoever capped the control point first on each of those points pretty much took that, which I thought was kind of interesting to see. Moving on,
best defense is a good offense, right?
Yeah, apparently, just keep attacking eventually. Just let your defense play attack, man. And then went over to Route 66. So at this point in time, Communism have already won the match. Cousin attacks first, capping all 3 points with about 1 minute and 20 left. Pretty much only being stopped once or twice. They ran. So then, Paranoia had their attack. Paranoia attacks, and they kind of buckle under a bit of the aggression of Communism. Communism played it like super aggressively, and Paranoia almost caps first point to move them to get the extra time. But Communism re-engages like literally last second with an ultimate advantage, is able to wipe them out and hold them just before first, winning that game 3-0. And then, also in the rival tier, we had Aspire versus Shimada Amada. So this was kind of interesting one. Aspire struggled a little bit in the beginning, especially with their MAC record, and Shimada Amada had a really strong beginning, and now kind of both teams are swapping things around a little bit. Start out on Hanamura. Aspire comes out really strong, cops first point pretty easy, which apparently is a trend between these Hanamura maps that we've seen today. Hanamura first point doesn't exist. It's not actually a thing. It's only second point. So Aspire runs in to second point, and they have a pretty long fight where they kind of over ult a bit, and they don't back out. It actually cost them probably a good bit of time. And Shimano was able to hold them on second point for about 5 minutes. Looking pretty strong. However, was able to cap second point with just a little under a minute left. Though when Shimano attacks, Aspire played kind of one of those Mei-like defenses where you walk through the choke lane and they wall you off. Those are really annoying to play against, and the Aspire used it really, really well. He was able to just constantly separate off Shimano. And then we ran into situations where Shimano would kind of over ult a bit, and they would lose that fight. And it ended up with Aspire being able to hold them on first point, kind of getting a pretty dominant, like powerful first opening of the game, which then moved on to Ilias. So right off the bat, Shimano takes control of Lighthouse super early, point it to just about 99%, where they then lose the point to Aspire. Or they quickly come back, and pretty much just went right back. They come back, take a point back, and they go up 1-0 in Ilias. They then comes back. Sorry, excuse me. Then come back again, and they won't even give up a point on the next one. They hold it for the full 100-0, and win Ilias to basically they held that point super strong. There was really no contestant to it, and so now the match came to a 1-1 situation. That's when these things get the most interesting. When they're not over by the second map, because then you always get those best fights. Everyone wants to win that third map, which we went into Route 66. So Shimano attacking first, takes a really quick first point as Aspire attempts to recontest. However, they win the fight, just barely getting off the first point, the checkpoint. They go strongly through second point. However, Aspire is able to hold them for 4 minutes on third point and prevent the cap. So now Aspire is up to attack, and they run a little bit of interesting composition. So they run a tri-shield composition, a Reinhardt, Arisa, and Bridget, with like a pirate ship strategy. So they're running their Bastion with it. They start first point pretty much instantly, and despite some scares of losing the Bastion, usually when you lose the Bastion kind of early at certain points of time, you're really struggling to get them back on. But they were able to get them back on each time, so then they took second point, and they completely barrel through third point, winning third point super easily. And that gave Aspire a 2-1 victory over Shimano Armada.
I really liked the way the rival tier kind of shaped up. What were you about to say?
Definitely. I was just about to mention kind of the standings that you were.
Did you say standings?
Whoa. We have a graphic. Yeah, so do you wanna take those standings away?
Yeah, standings for rival tier again. We had those teams so tight a few weeks ago, and they kind of split a little bit. But Trash Cans finishing very strongly and actually have the win in I believe it was week 5 over Kinetics to get the tiebreaker there. So even though they finish on win-loss and map wins, going down to the third tiebreaker, Trash Cans taking the top spot in Horizon. And Talon Division, BU side, they're kind of doing their own thing. Fallen Apollo's Rising. I think they'll have a championship. Played their championship. They're at. Fallen Apollo Rising. So hopefully we build out the EU side. Really excited for that next season. I think we'll get a little more support there. That should be exciting. But it kind of creates a little bit of intrigue in the Horizon division. Like we said, Trash Cans Kinetics finishing top, but it's going to be Aspire, Communism, Shimada Armada already locked their place into the playoff spots for the rival tier. Ironclad and Paranoia, having not played each other this season and tied on win-loss and map wins, will play a best-of-5 Legion playoff to decide who's going to end up playing Aspire in quarterfinals. Communism will face Shimada Armada, and Trash Kings Kinetics with the first round bye to and just kind of await the whoever their opponents are in the semifinals. But all the way around, I think you can have a really, really tight rival tier playoff, and this tier like the last couple. Just I'm really looking forward to these games.
Yeah, this tier's been super close for pretty much like the entire second half of the season. There was periods of time in which we had like 5 teams that were tied in wins losses. It was ridiculous. And only into like this last few weeks here, you had a good idea of kind of who was going to make the playoffs.
Well, and there's a lot of interesting things about Rival as well. And like you were saying, we had a few teams all tied. It was the top 4 all at 5-1 in week 6, and they kind of split. Obviously, Trash Cans Kinetics started looking a little bit better there towards the end of the season. But if you look at the Rival tier on the whole, Shimada Armada 2 weeks ago, I believe, were first in week 6 and dropped to 5th. So how quickly things can change. Aspire with a really strong push in the last 2 weeks, climbed from 3-3 to 5-3, and hit 3rd in Rival. So like I said, waiting for that playoff. It's actually not surprising. Aspire, if you watch their games, have been a very strong team. The record doesn't really tell the story. I believe they had 2 forfeit losses in the first few weeks of the season because of player ineligibility. So, you think about Aspire coming in and being a 7-1 team, and all of a sudden they've taken the top spot. So, looking at the playoffs, Trash Cans Kinetics obviously had that first round bye, but look for Aspire to perform strongly in the quarterfinal and really give one of those teams a run for their money. I guess we technically have to be Kinetics in the semifinal round. So again, just a lot of exciting games coming up. Make sure you guys are following this channel because we'll have them here, and we'll be hosting all of the other fantastic streamers that have helped us throughout the season. It's a really solid job.
Yeah. Then sorry, go ahead, Swift.
No, man, I was just gonna piggyback off of it and say we're gonna have we're shooting to have stream coverage for all the playoff games, and as many of them as possible hosted on the main channel. So shameless plug, captains, get the game scheduled as quickly as possible because it helps us, it helps me, it helps Salt, and it helps Sarge and all the other streamers move our schedules around so that we can get these games covered. So appreciate you, fellas.
Yeah, like
heard
we
that
want
from
to
the
see
stream
him,
man himself.
Exactly. Now listen to Swift.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the champion tier here. I believe this week in champion tier, pretty much only like one game was played. It was played pretty much. This game was scheduled pretty much right last second as it happened. So unfortunately, this game did not get streamed because of how last second it got played on a Sunday night. But it did end up with Pink Sox getting a 3-0 over Prometheus. And just kind of last week we were talking about the Pink Sox in that they also we've apparently been talking about it for a while recently.
Really, I mean,
so
exciting.
Yeah, they joined the league coming in late, so they got a default 3 losses. Because we can't let teams coming in get wins or whatnot, so we gotta have to give them losses for the times they missed. And that already was going to make their playoff chances very, very, very difficult. And they took to the heart and decided to start beating every other team in champion tier. And they have not lost a game so far since they have joined our league. And going into last week, they needed to basically win with pretty much a 3-0, and they needed Potential Disaster to lose. And both those things apparently happened, and they've actually been able to pull out a playoff spot now. And if I were the other champion tier teams, I'd be kind of scared of that, because they have every single time there's been another champion tier team that was didn't have any losses. Pretty sure all those came from the Pink Sox, and they're a very unique team to watch play. And I think probably they'd be my. I don't like to pick favorites in a tier for who might win the playoffs, but I think with at least how dominant they've been, I think they would probably. I think they're my pick to win the tier.
I do like to pick favorites, and I completely agree with you. Pink Sox came into this tier and completely took it by storm, winning every single game since they joined. They handed Prometheus and Banditos both their first loss of the season, kept up the pressure. A Week 8 win over Prometheus earned them the 3rd playoff spot and a spot in the semifinals. They'll be playing, guess what, Prometheus for the fight against Buffalo Banditos, who they've already beat this season. I think you're exactly right. If you are in the champion tier, you got this team, you need to be afraid of them because they're coming for you. And they've been a lot of fun. I love watching their games. Really disappointed that this one didn't get streamed, but man, what a team. And I really think that they have a really good chance of winning this tier.
Yeah, man. When you show up late to the party, but you kick the door down, and make everybody else take notice, it kind of makes the rest of the teams take stock, right? That said, I mean, Buffalo Banditos making it through the season with 1 L, Prometheus only 2 on the books. It's going to be hard fought, right? These are high caliber teams. I know we've been singing the praises of Pink Sox, but this is no time for them to rest on their laurels. It's a lot of tough sledding for them to get to the champion tier trophy. So it's going to be some hot playoff action. I'm excited to see it. I want to see where this goes. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Games. So we're gonna wait 2 weeks for them. Again, the playoffs for Carbon and Champion, just because the number of teams will take a little bit longer to get to. We'll have a week-long break for just kind of teams to regroup themselves and kind of like get all collected and this and that. And then the playoffs starting up a week after that. And then the semifinal rounds where all tiers will be involved the week after that. So yeah, look, playoff action coming up, and CGL Overwatch is a spot for it. So excited to bring you the content. Speaking of content. It's week 8 top plays, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right. This was kind of fun. Gumchat coming in on Temple of Anubis. Just really honestly heads up warrior play, trying to keep everybody alive, do what he can. Rocket Brush comes out and fades right out of the way. Pops a coalescence, trying to keep those tanks up. Fence goes on hold. And yeah, just really solid warrior play.
Support top plays.
Exactly. Electric Slum coming in. Actually, a lot of Junkrat top plays here. And this not even using the tire coming through. I think Sarge had this game. And Boosting Co. getting the win, like we said, coming in as Junkrat, doing some work. Milkoi, like you mentioned, switch in this game. D9 versus Chaotic. Getting the triple. The boop off the side. Lucio Orisa out of commission. And getting the punch on the Brigida as well. Milkoi looking good. Tank last week. And a DPS Doomfist this week. A lot of fun to watch. Coming in 6, Gaming Sorcerer here. It was a triple bomb coming in from Desert Frost in the Desert Legion Gaming versus Mounchy's game. Gaming Sorcerer came with a triple right afterwards, cleaned up the point. Mounchy's and Desert Legion, like I said, go on to tie that game. And the Apollo for Capitalism coming through with a Dragon Blade absolutely dirty, catching a couple of the sound barrier, helping keep him up, and yeah, just doing a really solid job there. So, Steve's Hundy's insta-lock, looking very good on D.Va, comes in with a bomb, catches 3, but the work's not done, climbs back to the mech, goes for the Ana up on the high ground, and that's the kind of D.Va play you like to see. It's pretty solid there. Duck, like you saw earlier. Yeah, well, you caught like 3 of them in the middle of the point. Duck doing the same, catching 3 right in the middle of there, and they would go on to hold that point. But there, Leo, yeah, would lose Route 66, but what can you do? Necrotic Damage here for DGBR, winning over Alacrity and just popping off. I think it was a quintuple kill for them. It's a team kill, and Necrotic Damage showing off. Milk, fantastic combo here over the top. All Potatoes had this game. It's an EMP triple tire coming through for Instalock, and yeah, top plays, man. Just top plays.
I never knew we were such a dairy focused league with how much milk players we have.
Makes a lot of good news.
We got Milkoi, milk.
Hey,
Milk
whatever,
18.
man. I'm down for it. When you're mid-cast and someone's got a name like Milk, that's easy to say. All you fellas out there that's got like 9 million letters and a bunch of random numbers, I'm giving you nicknames. I've already nicknamed Steve Zundies. The rest of you, I'm coming for you.
I don't know if we can ever have a vegan league game. Though. we're never gonna have that organic broadcast.
The organic broadcast. No GMOs.
No, not at all on a broadcast. All about a healthy living.
Yeah.
By sitting down in front of our Xboxes.
Oof. Breakdown. Okay, guys, thank you guys for joining. Tuesday nights, 9:30 Eastern. Don't forget CGL Happy Hour coming up, guys. That's it to me tomorrow night. I'll be on there. Matt will be on there. He wasn't able to make tonight's breakdown, but he'll be available for Happy Hour. Fingers crossed, I hope. And yeah, that should be a lot of fun. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it should be pretty good, man. The happy hour is fun. Headrammer, you were actually on the happy hour last week, right, dude?
Yeah, I was on the happy hour. It was actually a pretty good time. We had a little bit of technical issues in the beginning. Once we got our ball rolling through our pilot episode, it was a pretty good time. We got to do some Mystery Heroes, some Jonestown's Revenge. I got to beat Nips in a sorry, this is not the General No Nips, the owner Nips. I was able to beat him in a Tor 1v1 battle.
Ooh.
So I'm the current reigning champion. So if you feel like I'm just gonna lay down the law right now. If you feel like you might be good at Torbjorn, you're wrong. You can come personally. Extreme, and now it's just fact. Well, it turns out they're not canceled for the show. It wasn't true. It might have been joked about, but no. It turns out we got renewed.
Not canceled. No, we got him back.
Yeah, not canceled. So tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time on the main channel.
The show goes on, man. The show
Yes,
goes on.
Anything can happen. Nothing is planned, and it will fall apart.
A couple of other exciting events coming up, guys. The PS4, obviously, like we said, with this new branding console gaming league, not just Xbox anymore, we've got PlayStation as well, and coming up the PS4 Grandmaster Showcase. Excited for that. That's I was looking through some of the teams that have already been registered for this, guys. Some top 200 players. There's actually one team with 2 top 5 players on the same team. Should be some exceptional console level Overwatch, and I'm excited for it. That's October the 20th, so make sure you are aware of that. Man, I'm excited. And submit your clips for top plays, guys.
Yeah, well, I was about to say, we've got a ton of teams on the horizon for PlayStation. I am hyped to get them brought into the fold. Gives us a ton more content to go through, man. Top plays are going to be incredibly competitive going forward. So Sultan just said it, but please keep submitting those plays. It helps us out. Make sure we've got the best content. Appreciate you guys commenting down below as well. If you haven't already, be sure to follow so you get notifications on the Twitch. By the way, I'm going to give you that other shameless plug. From this stream right here.
let me just slip a switch over here, $20 bill for that.
Yeah, man. Doing what I can, brother. Doing what I can. The 1v1 tournament, that's still going on right now as well, right? We touched on that earlier. I just wanted to circle back on that because I know it's still live.
Yes, it is. So we got the 3rd round of that here coming up. I believe the due date for that is I think that's just it's tomorrow, I believe. Yeah, it's the 17th.
17th.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, 17th. So make sure you get your 1v1s in, submit the results,
and submit 1v1 clips. Those aren't off the table.
Minutes.
That counts. We can do top plays with 1v1 clips. Let's see them, man. I want to see them.
Yeah, dude, I'm down for it. And if you don't remember how to submit your clip, head on over to the Information Hub channel in the Discord, and there's a link to a Google form that you can submit your clips to. Just make sure it's from either the 1v1 tournament or one of the league games from the week of the breakdown.
Mm-hmm. Or just yell at Headrammer, man. That's what I did because I'm inept. Your call.
That's true. You can also yell at me.
No.
You may be blocked, but I can yell. But yeah. So actually, if you send me some clips, maybe a little extra, few dollar bills, it might actually somehow end up being the top play of the week. I don't know.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Somehow your play just got like 100 votes. There's not even 100 people voting on it. It just happens.
Don't say anything.
Yeah. And,
times, man. It's been real.
Yeah, it looks like we do also, of course, reminder, we do have our charity stream coming up here on November the 3rd. It's gonna be one of those long ones. Sultan, you know more about this one?
Yeah.
Well, so go ahead, Sultan.
No, you absolutely take it away. You go for it.
I was gonna say the charity streams a blast. Unfortunately, didn't participate a whole lot in the last one. I was traveling, but it's a great opportunity for us to stream to the community, but we also engage the community too. There were several times where we set up 6v6 lobbies. I think we played some Sea of Thieves. I'm sure with Destiny coming into the fold, Fox will be doing some Destiny games. So if any of you guys out there, streamers, players, looking to join or be a part of it, you can do more than just stream it. You can reach out to me, let us know. We'll see if we can't get you guys involved, because the charity stream is not just about the community. It's about raising money for a great cause, and the more people we have involved, the better to help us do that. So, yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. We've done it the last 2 years. We've done a couple. I think this will be the 3rd charity stream we've done, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. We, like you said, like to engage the community, like to get involved. Obviously, with CGL trying to branch out to more games, we'll probably try and get some kind of Black Ops in as well, and see if we can get some of those streamers going. But again, throughout that tournament, like you said, Destiny Rumble tournament as well, semifinals of the 1v1 tournament, we'll have some nice content going on through that charity stream. So make sure you come out and support a cause. It's I believe the proceeds go to children's hospitals. We're going through Extra Life again. So it's been something that we really enjoy doing, and we hope you participate in. The community generally really comes out for it, so it's something I'm definitely looking forward to. Trying to get some content out there for you guys, get some showcases and some exhibitions. But yeah, again, thank you guys for joining us on the breakdown. Man, just again, this is the 5th episode. We're just flying. It's just going by so quickly.
Haven't been canceled yet.
Haven't been canceled yet. That's the important thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's a show tagline. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for appreciate you guys joining. For Swift, for Headrammer, I'm Salt and Pepper, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.